Hi Tangle friends, I'm back tangling with you today after my Pysanky tutorial tour. As you can see, I'm still making them. That hasn't stopped, but I will concentrate now on getting back to showing you some tangles. And I don't want to let the month of March get away from me before I celebrate something very special with you. Can you believe it's now 1 year since I started my Lunchtime-Tangles series here on YouTube? So that's what I want to celebrate today. With this release, I am saying thank you. I'm saying I appreciate you and that I'm grateful for you for sticking with me through my journey on YouTube. When I started, I had a small group of people from the Denver Botanic Gardens who were joining me during my Lunchtime-Tangle sessions through them. And after that ended, I wanted to continue having a place to tangle with them. So that's how this YouTube channel, this Lunchtime-Tangle series started. I have since morphed my format somewhat to include more challenging projects that exceed our original 15-minute time limit. I'm also trying to show you some things that I learned as a botanical illustrator, some techniques and coloring and shading that are a little beyond just the tangle patterns. My goal has always been to get you excited about and hooked on tangling, as it is such a wonderful therapeutic art technique. So between last March and now, my YouTube channel has gone from just a core group of subscribers to more than 2.5K. And I know that's really trivial in the YouTube world. I live in the YouTube world. I look at YouTube's all the time. But I am really surprised at how fast my subscriptions have grown, and I hope that this trend continues. It's been actually kind of embarrassing doing these YouTube tutorials, showing you all of my shortcomings. I am actually embarrassed by some of my first tutorials because they are far from being up to my normal standards. But I figured they were free, and I only had so much time to devote to them. So in the meantime, I have really looked to improve things here in my studio. I got the help of my daughter, who has been so sweet to investigate some good technology for me to use. I bought a new document camera instead of taping through Zoom, which had shoddy internet connections. I live up here in the mountains, and we can never really count on that technology to be perfect all the time. I got lights, special lights to help you see my face better and see what I'm drawing better. I also got some carpets to throw down on my hardwood floors here in the studio so that the sound quality is better. And I bought myself a new microphone, and hopefully that helps you hear me more clearly and understand my tutorials better. So I have made a lot of progress in improvements. Oh, and one more thing I did teach myself iMovie so that I could speed things up for you and kind of make it visually more pleasing, edit things down so that you don't have to hear my 1,000 ums that I do, and just a few other things, as well as adding music to the tutorials just to make them a little bit more interesting. And of course, I can list many things that I need to improve on. Do you know how hard it is to not cover up your work when you're working on camera, especially when you get lost in the zen of the tangle yourself? And also, how hard it is to demonstrate good line quality when you're talking. So I haven't removed those first clumsy tutorials because they, in a way, reflect what I have learned and what Zentangle teaches me. These shortcomings show how I have progressed in this very new endeavor, and I will make the best of what I'm doing for the future, one step at a time. I'm really touched by your kind comments and your general enthusiasm, and I would love for you to spread the word about my channel, share it, give me likes, subscribe, and I will make note of the positive responses with hopefully more similar content. I can always try to guess what you like, but if you tell me, it's a lot easier. And I also invite you to tell me the tangles that you're having a hard time learning. Maybe if I give them a different perspective, a different twist, you will be able to more easily learn things. So that's what I ask of you. And in honor of this anniversary celebration, I want to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to have a contest and award the first person who answers this question a gift from my Botangle.net store. And this is how it's going to work. You might have to go back if you don't remember, but I love my dog and I included her often in my YouTube tutorials, and I'm going to in the future. And I have said what her name is and what it means in one of those. And so my question to you is, what does my dog's name mean? If you answer that question and just send me that answer in an email by April 15th, I will then, after April 15th, I will announce the winner of this little contest and what they receive. So my email address is botangle@outlook.com. What does my dog's name mean? Okay, guys, that's enough for today's intro. Let's get to grateful. Here is grateful. One of these pods is what I'm considering the Tangle Grateful. I was actually inspired by myself when I was tangling in my demo, YouTube demo on Rick's Flux. I tangled 2 of Rick's Fluxes that ended up looking like they were creating a bit of a heart. And so I thought, oh, this is an interesting thing to play with. So this is like a Rick Flux here, and then they come together in a way that they almost make a heart. And so I added these other lines to create this tangle that I'm calling Grateful. And the reason is, so every day that I get up, the first thing I do is breathe and say, begin each day with a grateful heart. And so this is my grateful heart, and that's why I named it Grateful. I'm going to show you just on a little bijou tile for time's sake how we will create this, and I'm just using an 01 Micron pen, a 2B graphite pencil. This one's a Color from Austria, and this is the 01 Micron pen. I also have my tortillion as always, and I nearby always have my kneaded eraser in case I need to lift my shading. Later I will show you some variations and some fun things that you can do with this, but I just want to show you the tangle simply. When I'm doing this on the bijou, I like to hold it in a diamond shape like this, and that creates a nice, interesting way to view the tile, and then also add your leaves or foliage, whatever you want to put in the background there. So I'm going to start kind of in the middle, right here, and I'm going to be bowing up and making a flux that curves like a heart, like half of a heart lobe. So, whoops. And then starting at the bottom, again, it's always important to start at the bottom, kind of like we do muka. I don't want these two to touch. I just want them to create an opening here where we can fill in the rest of our tangle. But as you see, this negative space is already giving us a very much heart-like shape. And so I'm going to accent that by just driving along and sort of making that into a heart like that. So I bring that line down first, and then I may add the other lobe. And then I'm going to do something in the back here to make this look very three-dimensional, almost like it's a flower opening up. I'm going to do like one of my favorite tangles is Sanibel. And this is a very Sanibel-like movement. It's a scallop. So I'm going to start pretty low down here, not quite this far, but about here on my flux head. And I'm going to just make a few scallops. Take your time. I always feel like these look like the back of a sheep or a cloud. That's how I view them. So the next step is then to create segments within this by drawing lines down toward that center line of our heart. And I always bow my lines ever so slightly because that's going to give the illusion of our petals kind of folding towards the center. And then we just have two more easy steps, and that's to extend those scallops like that on either side, coming about 3/4 of the way up, and then creating kind of a blossom, or not a blossom, what am I thinking? Almost more of a bud-like shape. And then if you want it to really be like a flower, you can add a stem. And then as a variation, I like to add lines within just this heart segment. And again, as you see, when I'm creating the lines, I'm bowing them ever so slightly so that it makes it look like this is a puffed heart, right? And to create that ever so beautiful interest, we can add a little bit of weight to our lines. Doesn't have to be much. And you can even like maybe weight this outer edge just because that's the big petal that's sort of the focal point on either side. And that's all just, you know, polishing and stylizing if you want to do that. You could also add a little bit of line weight on some of the scallops back here. I don't go overboard. You don't want to do every single line or else it's not line weighting, right? You've got to have some thick lines and some thin lines. So that's basically it. That is Grateful with its little variation here. And now I want to show you how I would shade this. And there's many different ways that you can shade this, just like there's always many different ways to do everything. But to emphasize the heart shape, I really want to add some shading down around the heart. So it looks like this is going down into like the center of a cup flower, sort of buttercup or something. You know me, as a botanical illustrator, I'm always thinking about flowers and plants. And I'm also emphasizing that shape on the outside as well. So it's like pushing this back and bringing the big petal forward. I'm also going to add some graphite right in the center, and then at the bottom, kind of a pillow shading for the entire heart. Because I want it to look like this leaf is on top and that heart is nesting deep inside. And I'm going to get my tortillion and start blending. Always blend away from your line, from your graphite, towards the light. Saving out a nice highlight. A little bit on both sides of that line, just so it looks like that's really billowing up and out. And then I'm just going to draw that up and emphasize some of these segments just with what's on my tortillion. I'm not adding extra graphite there. And so now this is kind of bare and in your face. So I would tone that down by also shading it so that it looks a little bit three-dimensional. A little bit like we make our spheres. You know me, I'm always doing that botanical lighting, so I save my highlight out on the left as if the light were coming from this direction. And also that makes for a nice value change between here and this nice white highlight. And then on the stem, we would put a little on the one side leaving the left in light. And that is grateful. Then you can do all kinds of things out here like I did with these Sampson leaves. And to get this look, I just took a small bijou tile that I had prepared with my colored background, which I do a demonstration of, and I'll put a link below in the descriptions for that tutorial. I used Lindsay's magic shakers and do this wet and wet technique. And so what I did was I just drew my flower or my whole pattern and then shaded it according to the colors that were there. And then I just took my graphic or really thick black pen and made the background black so it stands out like that. Let me show you how I would finish that off, embellish it with Sampson. Very simply, I would start here and draw a line kind of hugging this bud, blossom, and then we make, that's our midrib, and then now we make our little veins. Starting at the top, get your wiggles going. And of course, if you've been following me, you know I love Sampson, and I've done a tutorial on how I draw Sampson, so you can look at that as well. Let me go this way so you can see. My hand is covering things up. It's always so hard. I like that there's this overlap. And of course, you can finesse this Sampson with a lot of fun weighting of your line and shading. And I'm not going to take the time here to do that. You can go back and look at the tutorial. And always, I forget to tell you, give it your chop, your initials, and sign and date the back. Here's my step out. I will post it on Today's Tangles, Sandy Kelly Jones Today's Tangles Facebook page. I'll post it on my Facebook page, Annie's Botangle Alumni. You can see the step out there. And then on the back, I have a really fun idea. I took not just one of these blossoms, but I put 3 of them together and made another larger flower. And I just love that idea. I did a colorful one like that here to give you an inspiration. And on this one, you can see there's a little bit of a difference. I did not put the line segments in the heart. You don't have to. That's just a variation. So it has a whole different look. I also used a different leaf. I love banana leaf. And then I know that how much you all love Fleavy. And so I did a Fleavy wreath and just added these little buds ever so often to create my wreath, with lots of perfs and fescues to loosen it up and lots of shading. I think this one's kind of calling for color, but I left it in black and white so that you can see very clearly how I would shade. And then I might later go ahead and color that in. And then I did a really fun one on a 3Z tile in Renaissance style. So that's really sort of fun. The hearts are really elongated in this one. And I draw them different every single time, right? You just, that's the beauty of it. You can't really get it completely the same every time you draw it. And I've actually practiced it quite a lot. So that is grateful. I hope you have a lot of fun with my grateful heart and that you begin each day with gratitude and a grateful heart as well. Really, again, thank you for subscribing to my channel and let me know what tangles you need to learn or what techniques you'd like me to kind of show you, and I will get on it. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.